A table is basically a grid or a group of cells where you can enter and organize your data into. And I want to insert a table here that shows our projected and actual incomes for both quarters 1 and 2. And there are a couple ways that I can insert a table. One is if I have a content box, then I can just go ahead and hover over the insert table icon there and click on it. Or if I don't have that on my slide but I still want to insert a table, then come up here and click on the Insert tab, go to the Tables group, and there you go. Click on the Table drop-down arrow, and you can insert a table one of two ways from the drop-down arrow. You can either go ahead and hover over the number of cells that you'd like to see in your table. That's a 4x5 table, meaning that you have 4 columns with 5 rows. Go ahead and click on it to insert it. Or, let me hit undo. Click on Insert again, Table. The other way is to come down here and click on the Insert Table, because if you don't have enough columns or rows up above, then clicking on this you can go ahead and punch it in. I'm not sure, 1,000 columns or rows. In any case, let's keep it simple. Let's type in a 4x2 table and click OK. And then if I want to go ahead and get rid of the table, remove it, delete it, and I don't have the undo option, you can do it one of two ways. Just hover over the border of the table and click on it to select it and hit the delete key, or hit undo. Come up here to its related layout tab. You also have the design, but we want to go to the layout because here in the rows and columns group we can both delete and insert when it comes to our tables. In this case, when it comes to deleting, we want to delete the table itself. Okay, let's go ahead and insert our table again, but let's do it from the content box and click on the Insert Table icon. And let's type in 3x3 and click Okie dokie. Whenever you insert a table, usually the top row is known as the label row. In other words, you type in the labels for each column within your table. So this column is going to be about quarters, so I'll type in the label for that column, quarter, hit the Tab key. Our projected column with our projected income, hit the Tab key, and our actual income. So to get to the next cell in the next row, I can use the mouse to click in it, or let me click back. You can hit the Tab key. So this is the quarter column, so we're going to go ahead and say that this row is for quarter 1, hit the Tab key, and we projected, and we got, then hit the Tab key again, this time it's quarter 2. And then if we need another row, like let's say we want to add quarter 3, you can insert a row one of two ways. You can either hit the Tab key when you're at the end, the last cell in the table, automatically it'll open up, give you that row, or, let me go ahead and hit undo. You can come back up here on the Layout tab, and like I said, Rows and Columns group, you can delete, but also insert. Wherever your cursor is flashing, do you want to insert a row above? Well, it inserts it above. Let's hit undo. Or, better yet, instead of undoing it, let me show you how you can delete it. You can click on the Delete button and go down to Delete Rows, or, if I undo that, another way that you can do this is you can simply right-click within that row, or more specifically in that cell. You can insert columns to the left of that cell, to the right of it, above it, below it. Let's do it to the left. See how it pushes over. Oh man, it's really getting messy. Let's go ahead and right-click on that column and go down to Delete Columns, and then right-click within that row and go down to Delete Rows. You get the idea. Wow, shrunk up, didn't it? If it shrinks up like that, you want to go ahead and stretch it open. Then you can hover over the right middle handle until you see arrows pointing in opposite directions, then click and drag that out. Stretch it open just a bit. Then you have the bottom middle handle that you can click and drag to give it more room in all the cells there. A little bit of space between each row. Let's go ahead and click in here, hit the Tab key, and let's just go ahead and have what's called the total row, where it actually adds up the totals above for, quarters 1 and 2. And we'll go ahead and type it in. Okay, check the numbers out for me. Let me know if they're wrong. Go ahead and email the snot out of me. Let's jump over to the Design tab, do a little bit of designing here. Like over in the Table Style Options group, you've got what's known as the total row. That what it'll do is it'll take the last row in the table. It doesn't matter if it says total or not. It'll take the last row and format it to match the first row. So if I check it, it matches it. Why does it do that? So you can quickly, by viewing the contrasting colors between the first and the last row with the rows in between, well, this one points out and says, okay, it's something different than the rest of the data below. It's the label row, and then the last row jumps out from the data in between, and we look at it, and it shows the total row. So all the data in between doesn't really jump out as much as what are we looking at, which we have the labels, and what are the final results. In any case, you don't have to have that formatted. You can go ahead and uncheck the total row, but it's there. You got other options you can go ahead and choose, like banded rows. You can uncheck that. If you do that, then it doesn't have every other row the same color. So you can separate when you're reading from left to right by staying within that row, because when you check banded, I can stay within the light green row without crossing down below or above. Because if you have a lot of columns and you don't have it banded like that, it might happen where the eye goes. Let's see, quarter 2, 550,000, 750K. It doesn't really lead the eye as it does having a single color in that row, okay? In any case, I want you to know that I cover tables more in depth in my Word 2010 training videos, so if you want to learn more about it, go ahead and watch it. I'm going to briefly cover it here because PowerPoint isn't about specializing in tables. Microsoft Word does. And then if you want to go ahead and change the formatting or the style for the table, you can come up here, again on the Design tab, click on the More button. You can choose anything from the light section, something medium, or something way dark. Let me go ahead and scroll back up and choose something, well, let's do, oh, that's kind of cool. And then over to the right of that, you got the fill color arrow. You also have the borders. If you want borders like, well, what you see here, you have white borders going down and looks like kind of a purplish border going across, or a medium shade of blue. You also have effects. Click on the drop down arrow. You can give it a reflection for the table. Let's do something, well, half reflection, 4-point offset. That's the name of it. Click on it. And you can see it kind of reflects down, but it doesn't do a good job of it because of the style that I chose. So if I click inside there, and let me scroll up to get to the top and choose, well, let's do another style here. Click on that. And then click on the drop down arrow and choose another reflection. Well, there we go. Click off in blank area. That pops, doesn't it? Okay, within the table here, if you want to go ahead and align the text within the cell, let's go back to the Layout tab. You've got the alignment group, and let's go over, let's see, you've got center alignment, right alignment, left alignment. In fact, let's go ahead and do center. 750K is in the center now. And if you also want to align that cell within the middle, vertically, then come back up here, and there you go. Center vertically, and it puts it in the middle. So it's aligned from the left and aligned from the top, so it looks like it's perfectly in the center of the cell. I'm going to go ahead and hit undo a couple of times. You can also choose the text direction. Let's choose quarter here, the cell. Come back up here. Click on the text direction drop down arrow, and you've got rotate 90, 270, or stack. Now when you select stack, it spreads it open, but if you don't have enough room vertically, it's just going to go horizontally. So you have to hover over the bottom part of that cell until you can see arrows pointing in opposite directions. Then you can click and drag that down, and there you go. See how it's stacking? Wow, that's awful. I'm going to go ahead and hit undo a couple of times. And then finally, kind of as a fun little tidbit, if you want to go ahead and change the cell into a picture, go ahead and right-click in the cell and go down to Format Shape, and then come up here and select Picture or Texture Fill. And you can insert a picture from your file, in other words, somewhere on your computer or on a CD or DVD by clicking on the File button and then finding one and selecting it. Let me click Cancel, or I can click on Clip Art. Let's do Ghost, since that's what it's all about, and click Go. Make sure you have internet connection and that the box is checked, because if you don't have internet connection, well, your choice is going to be limited. Let me go ahead and scroll down and find a spooky ghost. Ooh, spooky. Select it, click Okie Dokie, close out, and kind of cool. Can't really see the ghost too well behind the text, but you get the point. In fact, I can go ahead and select the text, hover over slightly and up to the right to bring up the mini formatting toolbar, click on the font color drop down arrow, choose black, click off, and, well, in any case, it could have some great potential by inserting a picture in one of the cells. Go ahead and hit undo a couple of times. Ugh. Maybe one more.